One. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Daincast. This time we've got another game from a good friend of the channel, Lucasdart, playing for the Art of Warfare. He is the red Terran in the bottom left-hand corner of Eternal Empire LE, and his opponent is going to be the blue Terran player in the top right-hand corner of Eternal Empire. And this is going to be around a diamond level, Terran versus Terran. Lucas was very, very happy with this game, so I'm really looking forward to see what he ends up going for in this game. This is around, I think, 4.14 to 4.1k MMR. We see there's a gas first for Lucasdart and a gas first for VMG as well. So we'll have to see how these players decide to differentiate their builds from one another, or if they end up in kind of a mirror. A lot of the time you have both players go for the double gas, they get their factory, and then they get their expansion. So that they can do some pressure with Hellions and Reapers and just general be safe against any kind of 3-racks Reaper or anything like that. It's any kind of early pressure for Terran tends to be focused around Reapers and Hellions, so they both end up going for a few before they get their expansions. It's not clear yet. I think VMG would probably be getting a second gas already if he was, so I think it's going to be a Reaper expand for vmgNarra, and Lucas is going to be going for the Reaper into Hellion expand. So he's going to get his 2 gases and then just mine just enough gas to get the factory down, and then he's going to be able to put on some pressure on his opponent. So it remains to be seen if Lucas's pressure is going to be successful, because his opponent is going for a more greedy version of the opener. He is going to be on the defensive and Lucas is going to be on the attack. He's not going to need to do a whole lot of damage, but he's going to want to do at least something going into that mid game. Otherwise, he's just going to be behind economically. He's always going to maintain maybe a little bit of a technological lead, because he's getting his factory a lot faster than his opponent is. We can see VMG is putting down his expansion at the natural position as expected. He got a nice full scout there, and he's going to leave with the SCV now because he realizes that the Reaper's about to pop and he values his life. So he's just going to pop across the map, try and survive. And there is a Reaper out for Narra as well, but there's going to be a Hellion out soon enough. So what Lucas could potentially do here is rally his Reaper across the map and try and get that crucial first hit on the opponent Reaper. And if he's able to do that, he might be able to kill it and snowball into canceling this base, which would be really, really nice. It's obviously a really nice way to pick up an easy win, but it doesn't look like Lucas is going to be going for that. He's just going to be playing a little bit careful with this Reaper, scouting around for proxies, making sure that he's not taking too much damage. And Lucas is actually putting down a base of his own, and it's going to be out of position here for Lucas, so he's going to have to send another SCV down. But he's actually got 2 Reapers out, and he's going to be able to focus this one down. So this is going to be a big win for Lucas. And if he sent his units across the map right now, he might be able to put on a lot of pressure. He actually has 1 Hellion already, building a second one, and his expansion is only really just starting, because losing that SCV building it was actually really crucial. There was a nice little delay for Narra, but he is on the defensive now. He's lost one of his units and he knows exactly what's happening now. So Lucas is going to be barreling down the map with 2 Reapers and a Hellion. He actually has another Hellion on the way. He just needs to include it in his army, and he's going to be able to do a little bit of damage here. So Lucas is going to pop in here to the natural. What does our friend Narra have? He's got 2 Hellions actually, which is nice for him because he's gone right into the reactored Hellions, which is going to help him to stabilize a little bit. But this is pretty dangerous for Lucas. He's taking a decent amount of damage here. He's actually lost both of his Reapers, so now it's 3 Hellions to the 1 of Lucas, and Narra has the faster expansion, and I think Lucas is actually going to lose his Hellion as well. So this is a little bit unfortunate for him. There is a tech lab on the starport for his opponent and a tech lab on Lucas's as well. So it looks like they're both going to be going for either a Raven or a Banshee based play, but Lucas is unimaginably behind in this game. He's lost all of his Hellions, and he's not mining at his base just yet. He doesn't have that orbital just yet. His opponent is ahead only a few workers. Now, I will say that this hasn't been as good for Narra as it could have been, because he didn't make enough workers to make it really worth it. Like, Lucas has a full base worth behind compared to him, and he's still only up 3 workers. So it's a little bit rough there. I think he could have made a few more workers to maintain that lead, but he ended up holding the pressure from Lucas, and I think overall these players have actually kind of just evened out overall. So Lucas really didn't do damage, but because his opponent didn't macro properly, they're both on even footing right now. Lucas has been creating workers. He's only 4 workers behind, and Narra has a little bit of a bigger army as well, so Lucas is definitely on the back foot here. I like this Cyclone positioning from Lucas to try and make sure that His opponent doesn't get anything off in his main base with a drop or a Banshee or anything like that. Doesn't have a Raven here to support this, so a Raven could actually be very annoying to deal with. But as I say that, Lucas sends the Raven down to join up with that Cyclone, so he should be, this little hit squad here, the Raven and the Cyclone, is enough to deny a Banshee from really doing much of anything. And this is going to be some kind of standard TVT tactics here to make sure that you don't lose anything. Now, Narra has gone for a very early expansion here. He's gone for a third base as well. So Lucas is only now taking his third base. So this economic focus play from Narra is really showing itself. But Lucas's consistent creation of workers has meant that he's actually nearly caught up in workers. He's only down one worker right now. So you have to wonder what's going on with Narra. Is he cutting workers to get barracks out, or what's he doing? But really, Narra should be really ahead in this game, but he's not. And I think that just is a testament to Lucas's macro here. His ability to create workers is very, very solid. He doesn't have, you know, as many as you might ideally want given an early expansion, but it's understandable given the fact that his expansion was delayed so much. So it makes sense that he doesn't have enough 50 or 60 workers right now. So armies are looking pretty similar here. A couple of Ravens, couple of tanks, handful of Marines. Pretty standard stuff so far. Double engineering bay being added on for really both players, but again, Narra with the faster upgrades here, starting his 1-1 before Lucas even has his engineering bays finished. So Lucas definitely has some things to think about in this game. It might stabilize in the end when they both have 3-3, but there's going to be a lot of timings where Narra has the 1-1 upgrades and Lucas does not, which is pretty scary. And Lucas still hasn't turned this base into an orbital, so this base is starting to mine now for his opponent, and I think this is finally going to be Narra's patience and his macro focus paying off for him. You can only imagine he should be making more workers now. He's making workers off of 3 command centers, and he's got his orbital already finished and mining at the 3rd, so he really should be in a good position here. He does have a fairly significant 6 army supply lead over Lucas, but he doesn't have much more than that. I mean, he has the better upgrades, but he doesn't have as many workers as he probably should have right now. So up to 5 barracks here for Narra. Is Lucas going up to 5 as well? It looks like he's only on the 3, so that economic difference there starting to show itself as Lucas is down 2 racks as compared to his opponent. But in Terran versus Terran, it's always up to the way the engagements go. These little advantages that you get in the early game might be a really big deal in Grandmaster League, but at Diamond, at 4K level, it's really going to come down to who gets more value out of their tanks, who gets those key disables off, and who manages to catch their opponent off guard in the middle of the map. It's a game of positioning and control. Now, there is really great map vision from both players here. You can see that Lucas is sending out his Marines to spot for drops, to spot for any kind of movements from the enemy army, and his opponent has Marines as well. So the whole map is basically covered with Marines from both players. So we've got blue Marines over here, and we've got Lucas's Marine over here. So nice placement so far. It's going to be hard for either player to get the drop on their opponent, and the army supply is still staying pretty stable here. I think a 9 army supply lead for Narra is looking pretty important there, and his 1-1 is finishing. If he starts his 2-2 right now, he'll be able to maintain that lead, but it's so common for people to forget their 2-2, especially with this armory being late for Narra. It's going to allow Lucas to catch up just a little bit, especially if Lucas already has his armory down, which I don't think he does, unfortunately. So this is going to mean that he's going to have to wait for his armory as well. But the armory just finishing for Narra, and a little bit of a engagement here as Lucas is going for a drop, and he's going to spot this massive move out from Narra. Narra really looking to do a little bit of damage here with his superior army. He must have a feeling right now that he's got a bigger army than Lucas does, and Lucas is gonna lose this watchtower. It's gonna allow him to know where the position of his opponent's army is. But look at this 4th base on location for Narra is gonna start building. It's nearly halfway done, and Lucas is building one not on location. So this is interesting here for Lucas. He's very behind in this game so far, I would say. They're equal on upgrades, and actually neither player has started their 2-2 upgrades now. So this has completely equalized for Lucas. I'm not sure if he's realized this, but this has gone really nicely for him. Maybe neither player wants to start them right now because they want to just spend their money on units, but they're both players are floating quite a lot of minerals right now. This is definitely that crucial stage in the game where neither player wants to be losing everything for free. So it's very, very delicate here how these players are going to engage. But the army supply really telling a story there for our blue Terran. He is so far ahead here in terms of economy and army. He was ahead in upgrades, but not as much as he was. But now Lucas is going to look to continually move his army around so that he does not lose everything. And his tanks are sieging up. He does have that high ground there, so this is a lot better for Lucas than it otherwise would have been. But the Viking count for Narra is so high that he's going to be able to creep his tanks up. But as I say that, he's held position on top of the tanks, and Lucas is going to completely clean these up. A massive blunder for our blue Terran, and this is going to mean that he's completely lost his air control. He might have to retreat after that. We'll have to see what he decides to do. He's gradually going to take all of his tanks, and there is a big drop here for Narra, and there's absolutely no units in defensive positions here other than this one tank. There's no turrets or anything like that for Lucas, so this might be actually a pretty dangerous double drop here. This tank is in a really nice position here, so it should allow him to just pull his SCVs back and let the tank just shell these units to death. Lucas might get a little bit of use out of these, but as I say that, blue has tried to push into the 4th base location here, and Lucas has really cleaned this up very, very well here, and the drop has cleaned up on this tank, but now there is a second tank, and there's so many units here from this double drop, so it's actually going to continue to do damage here, and it might clean up Lucas's natural expansion here. So this is a really stressful situation. Lucas has got the better trade in the main armies overall, but he's losing a lot of workers here, and again, being behind it in an economy is going to make this even worse for him. And as he sends units in with inferior numbers, Lucas has been bleeding out units this whole time, and he hasn't been able to rally his units and get reinforcements with his main army. And now Narra's main army is going to meet up here, and Lucas's army is out of position, so he's going to lose his tanks again. He does have this high ground position here, which is nice, but now it looks like Narra is going to try and go into the 3rd base from this location. So the scan's going down for our blue Terran. He's going to know exactly where Lucas's army is. He wants to go up this ramp, but Lucas has already sieged up, and this is actually really dangerous for blue to go up this ramp. He's going to go away from the tanks, and he's going to start to get this natural. But now Lucas's army is coming back from the natural as well, and there's superior marine count for Narra. Lucas is going to siege up, and it looks like in the end, Lucas does end up stabilizing here. And he's going to unsiege his tanks, trying to make sure that he doesn't lose anything else to this drop. There are 2 tanks left from the force there. Originally, that was much, much larger. And now Narra is going to try a flank attack on the 4th base of Lucas. But he does have 2 tanks in position and a planetary here. So I think this might not be the worst thing in the world. He might have a little bit of time here. But the Marines are going behind the orbital command, or the planetary fortress, I should say. And now Lucas is trying to get back out on the map. He realizes he's in a bad economic position here. Narra up to 84 workers, might even be over making workers a little bit here. Lucas frantically trying to reposition these tanks in a good position. It looks like he is going to get the better of it, and he's going to kill this tank basically for free along with all these units. So Lucas is desperately trying to clean this up, which isn't actually too bad for him. He's got a really nice tank count, and he's about to have his 2-2 finish, as is his opponent. And making 10 Marines at a time, he shouldn't be in too bad of a position. But a big double draw, actually quadruple draw, at the natural expansion of Lucas, realizing that there's no turrets here to stop this. It's going to be really, really hard. Lucas is going to try and drop a few Marines on top of these tanks, but with good positioning, these tanks are going to be able to stabilize here and continue to shell this natural expansion. Meanwhile, the main army attack is going really badly for Lucas as well. He's getting completely cleaned up here. This is looking very desperate for our young Terran player. He is going to try to get into the main, but everything is getting choked up behind these SCVs. This is very, very dangerous. There's so much more resources being mined for his opponent. He's actually going up to 5 bases, and Lucas has lost nearly half of his workers here. This is really, really dangerous. Now these 2 medevacs are going to escape to the 3rd base of Lucas. This is so desperate here with another army coming in as well. It's going to be a GG and a victory for Narra.